About the prospects of Harambee Stars going to the Africa Cup of Nations 2019 edition, it will be staged in Egypt. And what exactly should we expect from this team? Some positive sentiments. A lot of people are saying that it is a team that has the players, the mentality and the tactician and maybe the federation that backs them the way they are supposed to be backed. And maybe also the government needs to do a lot in making sure that all their needs are taken care of before we go to Africa Cup of Nations. There is that friendly matches that have been lined up. Remember, the team will have 19 days camp in France. Maybe also that will be of adequate support to them before they go to Egypt and try to see if they will be able to get some positive results. But let's come back. I know the 2004 team had plenty that they brought on the table. What do you remember about that team?
I think one thing that I always say contributed to the success or to the qualification of this team was the years of work that had been put into that team. I was looking at the lineup, the guys who made it to the 2004 team, and I could count up to 10 or more players that I played with when Reinhard Fabisch was in Kenya. So I'm talking about 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. So gradual but very progressive build-up. The maturity, the chemistry in the team could be seen. And so it made it easy for them to understand each other. So you hear everyone saying, Tito peke yake ndiye alikuwa anajua kuchezesha Deno. But it's because of years of working together. This is one of the things that I remember and I believe was key for this team to qualify, to make it for the African Cup of Nations, was the years of work that had been put into this team. And so also the same thing with 2019. So you look 3 years back, 2 years back, and you can see almost the same kind of player, the same players in the national team. So, I mean, the right thing being done, definitely success follows you.
Grace, you're talking about consistency and maybe the number of players that have been in this team for quite a number of times. So it looks like they're just the same faces. Is that something positive, something that we should say we should stick to a particular game plan and maybe to a particular process of nurturing some players who might be able to surprise the world?
Yeah, of course. There's the teamwork that comes with having gelled as a team, and also looking at even some players who are not even who are in the local league. These are players who have played each other. They know how they play, and also looking at the call-ups that we've had previously in the national team, you realize and notice that the coach has been very keen on having the same players, of course the ones that are performing in the team, and that teamwork, that gelling of the team will be a very strong point for us as a team in the AFCON. So I believe, maybe just to copy from what class of 2004, I believe we are up to something good this time round.
She's saying we're up to something good, and you think about what transpired in 2004. We had quite a number of players who were able to go out there, and they did what they had to do at that particular time. But one player, Maurice Sunguti, is saying at that time actually played, and he was a part of that team. And we've spoken with him a few weeks ago, and for him the mentality was simple. He's saying that we have players who can be able to go out there and get some positive results. At the same time, the tactician. But for him, he's saying the players need to take a day at a time, prepare themselves quite well, and with the right mentality, then we might be able to get some positive results.
First of all, I was very happy when I realized that our national soccer team, Harambee Stars, has qualified for the AFCON after a very long time, in 2004. I can remember I was in the squad that played in 2004, and it's the biggest occasion in African football. If you get a chance to play in AFCON, you have a chance to compete with the best in Africa. And also we have many scouts, which is also good marketing place for the players. I remember when we played in 2004 in AFCON, we played against Mali, Senegal, and Burkina Faso. We lost the first game 3-1 against Mali. We lost 3-0 against Senegal. Then the third game we won 3-0 against Burkina Faso. What I can tell the current team, is that we have been grouped with Algeria, Senegal, and Tanzania. On paper, when you see Algeria and Senegal, you can think that that's a foregone conclusion that you have lost. But having played before, I think those is only one match, and it's like being played in the neutral ground. So I think as Harambee Stars, we have a very big chance of making it to the AFCON, at least to the second round of AFCON. Then you never know what will happen after the group stages.
There's a lot of expectation actually from this team, and Maurice Sunguti there, he is a person who was able to play at 2004 also on his side. He knows that there is a lot that can be done, and at the same time he knows that this team will be able to pose some positive results. I know we are talking about this Africa Cup of Nations, but let us go back home. We talk something about this Kenyan Premier League. We are having a league. A lot of people are talking about the management of this league. Others are saying KPL is doing a fantastic job. Also critics are saying KPL is doing a pathetic job all across. Some other people are neutrals, are saying we won't have that Kenya Premier League title. At the same time, others are saying the Football Kenya Federation is not doing enough to making sure that also the National Super League plus the KPL are managed. Others are saying they're doing a fantastic job, and that is why we are saying that we have local players who will be playing in the Africa Cup of Nations team. In your own assessment, how is officiating in the Kenyan Premier League?
I think the officials are doing the best that they can. We are human, all of us. We have watched top leagues in the world and errors being made in these top leagues by top refs. We have watched even in the World Cup, you know, so at the biggest stage, the highest level, errors being made, just to show you that we are all human and we are prone to make mistakes. So same thing with the Kenya Premier League match officials. I think they are doing their best. I have had the opportunity to do commentary on some of these matches. I have attended some of these matches, and for the most part, I think they're getting it right. You know, if there is a mistake, I think it's something that not intentional, I think. So in my opinion, they are doing a good job, honestly. They prepare well. I have seen their pet tests, you know. These guys are doing a marvelous job, honestly.
Yes, mistakes do happen on and also off the pitch. Some of them change even the results of the game. What's your assessment on that?
Of course, as a player and a team and a coach, of course, once there's a call that is questionable, it's heartbreaking for the team. But then I feel, as to echo what Mulama has said, I mean, they're doing their best. The league is even bigger. It's wider. There are two leagues. There's also the Women League. So mine is just maybe to challenge the federation to equip the officials well. Let them have all these trainings and all that. That way we'll be headed in the right direction.
We're talking about them, and maybe for the first time after a very long time, I saw the Football Kenya Federation coming out and actually sanctioning some of the officials in the Kenyan Premier League at the same time at the National Super Leagues. Let's just look at some of them who actually were sanctioned, and maybe some of them have already been banned. Some of them are continuing actually to serve their punishment. We'll start with the assistant referee, that is Josh Achila. He made two crucial decisions on offside, which had an impact on Gor Mahia's tie against AFC Leopards match. Remember that game was played at February at Kasarani. He also denied Ulinzi Stars a goal through a wrong decision during their match. Something that actually he actually accepted that he did a mistake, and at that particular time he was given a suspension for a period of not exceeding 3 rounds of matches. Big calls that the assistant referees sometimes usually make, because they assist the referees quite the center referees, that is, quite a lot of times. But looking at something like this, it is prone to happen. It can happen.
Yes, and you know, the funny thing is that when you're seated at home, you have the luxury of watching the play once, twice, 3 times in the replays. This guy has a split second to make that decision, and it has to be right to some extent. So you know, so sometimes I had a chance. I was doing commentary. Sorry to digress. I was doing commentary, and a ball that a move that looked like an obvious offside. When I had a chance to go back to the OB van and have a look at it from a different angle, it was not offside. But then this guy only has a second or half a second, a microsecond to make that decision, raise his flag, and you know, and assist the referee. So you know, if this, you want to count how many matches has Joshua Achila officiated against how many errors or how many mistakes has he made. You know, if he has done 34 matches in this season, and these are the only mistakes he's done, I think we should be congratulating him instead of punishing him.
Let's look at another person, because he's not the only culprit at this. Jose Omondi. For Jose Omondi, actually, he failed to send off Gor Mahia as a goalkeeper. I remember this game because he handled the ball outside the area, but Sonny Sugar, goalkeeper on the other side, handled outside the area, and he was given a red card, and this other one was not given a red card. A decision like that, what will you say? Because you're saying mistakes do happen, but
yes.
Now how do we call this?
Now, depends. Did he call for a foul when the goalkeeper handled the ball outside the box, or did the play go on? You know, you have to have the details.
For one, both the play did not go on, but for one it was off you go. For the other was just a free kick.
I think it's a mistake.
It is a mistake. So they do happen, but this is a mistake.
They do happen.
This is a mistake that a referee ought to avoid, one will argue. Because if you will give a red in this instance, then why not give a red in this other instance?
But then at times you'll agree with me, some of these games are supercharged. I mean, it's human error at times too.
Human error to punish one and not to punish the other.
The pressure, sometimes the pressure makes
game,
you make, not be able to rationalize when you're making certain decisions on the field, honestly.
So at that time, the pressure, the referee will think this is the pressure coming from Gor Mahia fans, and this is not
Gor Mahia fans.
That is how
the adrenaline in the match, you know, the tension. What is the score at the time? You know, how are the fans reacting? You know, I'm always going back to the same point. How many matches has Jose Omondi done?
Quite a number.
And how many mistakes are we calling him out for?
So a mistake, but a mistake is a...
Oh yeah, it's a mistake. I think it's wrong. I mean, for the same mistake to be punished in different ways, I think it is wrong. But, you know, I'll stick to my point that mistakes do happen. And, you know, if we are to punish, yes, we should. But, you know, we should also give these guys some credit.
We also have another one. And this other one is actually coming from who exactly is this? Collins Opio. For Collins Opio, adding a questionable penalty to Sofapaka in their match against KCB played on April 14th at Machakos Stadium. When it is questionable and they look, maybe the committee that sat and came out with this punishment, so that the referee ought to have noted and known that that was not a penalty.
What do they mean by questionable?
A questionable, that it was not supposed to be a penalty.
The wording should have been different then. I mean, in their opinion, they felt that 50-50. He could have given it. That's what I believe.
That is
means
what is questionable. But this is the wording. This is actually how they wrote in their final deliberations, and when they come out to say this is why we're punishing him.
You know,
so for them it was questionable. So it can be questionable, and if it is questionable, then it can be a yes or a no.
Yes, and it's to the referee's discretion. You know, so if he looks at it and he sees, you know, the momentum in the game at the time, the intensity, maybe off the foul, and he'll, in his own judgment and his training, he'll say, I believe this requires to be punished by a penalty or wave play on or whatever decision he does. You know, at the end of the day, we are going to make these guys so scared to officiate matches, because this is where they, you know, their families and everything, this is where they depend to pay their bills and everything. So if you want to be nailing them down on one match out of 29 matches, I mean, it's not fair.
But Grace, another person will argue differently, because others will say, if we see Football Kenya Federation coming out, the same time Kenyan Premier League coming out and saying if referees do something something that maybe will alter the results of the game, then it will make other referees just try to be as much fair as they can.
I mean, in all fairness of the game, we expect the referees to make the most fair decision. But then at the end of the day, we say the referee's decision is final. But then this is good coming from FKF. But then also what he has said, we do not want to get to a place that we are instilling fear to the referees. Remember, I mean, in the league, we've seen the match officials also get attacked. So, I mean, it's a delicate balance of being able to find fairness in a situation like where these are calls that have affected very, very crucial games in the league. So it's a delicate balance between the federation and also the referees. We need to find a fair ground, and also for the clubs, because I mean, for a coach and a team, you feel that that is the goal that cost us. I mean, these are 3 points that we lost that way. So it's a delicate balance.
A delicate
balance. Don't get me wrong. We need to have to set some standards, right? We need to set some standards, but also these guys, we cannot demonize these guys, because we have seen this country produce some great referees for Africa and for the world. We had one of our assistant referees in a World Cup, you know, and maybe a year or two back, he was just one of them, was also unlucky not to feature in the World Cup because of various reasons. But we have produced referees that have officiated big matches in Africa. We are talking about Champions League, we are talking about Confederation matches, we are talking about AFCON. So, man, these guys set the standards, yes, but do not demonize them, because they are